Thank you for joining me on this edition of Taking a Closer Look at the News. In this edition, we are looking at Atiku Abubakar and his declaration for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, most of you must have heard that he has declared once again for the presidency about a couple of weeks ago. And the mantra this time is One Nigeria. Now, before I get any further, I want to quote a very distinguished American diplomat by the name of John Galbraith, who said this, and I quote, that every human endeavor is geared towards the acquisition of power and glory, unquote. So here, essentially, the diplomat is saying that every single human aspiration, every single human acquisition, every single human endeavor is actually geared towards the acquisition of power and glory. And this is how we can define Atiku's aspiration and his interest and ambition for the presidency. Now, it's worth noting that Atiku has been vying for the presidency for the longest time. And we can go back in history to 1992 in the era of Babangida. We have to go back to the time of Babangida to begin the count when Atiku started vying for the presidency. Now, Babangida was handing over to civilians in 1992, and Atiku was interested in the presidency at that time. And then he was picked up by Obasanjo with the PDP and became vice president in 1999. Now, Atiku was elected governor of Adamawa State when when the old Gongola State was divided into two with Tariba on one side and Adamawa on the other. Atiku fell in the Adamawa territory, so to speak, and became his governor. But he wasn't sworn in. He was picked by the PDP to be the vice president, presidential candidate, eventually winning the elections, and became vice president for 8 years. He became vice president from 1999 to 2007. And we all remember the tumultuous, days and years in Aso Rock between him and his principal, Obasanjo. They were fighting, pretty much very frequently. It was all in the public domain, and they did everything but govern. And after their term was over in 2007, and not to mention the botched third term bid and so forth, Atiku was continued to be interested in the presidency. And as a matter of fact, ran for the presidency in 2011 and ran again in 2015 and did the same in 2019. Now, Atiku has gone to declare once again for 2023. Now, how many times will he run for president? And at what point does Atiku say, I got the message? I got the message Nigerians are sending. I will jettison my ambition, and I will just, go into the sunset. At what point does he say that? Now, mind you, Atiku is 75 years old. And 75 years old with 28 children. And obviously with 28 children, you have many grandchildren. Now, isn't it time for Atiku to take time to spend with his family? Isn't it time for Atiku to spend time with his grandchildren? Isn't it time for Atiku to be a statesman and say, well, enough is enough, let me go into the sunset and let me just be a statesman? And this is the problem of Nigerian leadership and the political class. Somehow Atiku believes that he's entitled to the presidency. And the title of Mr. President is a motivator here. And he has tried several times since 1992 to this point, and that's it. That's a long time. 30 years he's been trying to be a president of this country, and it keeps getting rejected. It keeps getting rejected. Perhaps good reason, because Nigerians don't believe in his leadership, because they've seen him in office in the past year, in 8 years, 1999 to 2007, and they were not impressed. Now, the cardinal question here is, does Atiku have what it takes to turn Nigeria around. Because at this point in our history, at this point in time in the 21st century, we are looking for people that will bring about a change, not the same old ideas, old failed ideas that are responsible for where we are in the first place. Not that, no, those ideas. Does Atiku have new ideas? Does he have anything left in the bag? Or did he have anything in the bag at all to begin with? Some may ask. Well, and that is the question. And this is the problem with Nigerian politics, that those who got us into this mess are still with us in terms of in the political arena. They're still trying to grab onto power. At 75, most people will say, well, it's time to slow down. It's time to, give it up and hang the boots and, again, go into the sunset and spend time with family. In this case, with many children, well over 24 children, and grandchildren, supposedly more than 24 grandchildren, spending time with them. But no, not so. And Atiku keep on citing Abraham Lincoln, the very, the Republican president of the United States, that he ran many times and became president eventually. But Abraham Lincoln ran twice and became president. Not 5, 6 times, twice, that's it, and became president. At what point does Atiku get the message that Nigerians are not interested in his leadership, that he ought to give way, that it's about time for the younger generation to take over, it's about time for technocrats to take over, it's about time for those who are well qualified to take over? Now, Atiku may be thinking that he's the only qualified candidate to run continuously on the PDP platform, impeding, the opportunities of others that are equally interested in that platform. He keeps running on that platform, not minding the fact that others may need an opportunity to run as well. So again, the question is, at what point does Atiku get the message that Nigerians are not interested in his leadership? At what point does he do that? And now this actually brings me to the next point, which is the Southeast. That the Southeast hasn't, as a region, has not had opportunity at the presidency. We've had northern presidents, we've had southwestern presidents, we've had south-south presidents, but the Southeast hasn't had his chance at the presidency. Now, nothing in Atiku's thinking, is suggesting to him that perhaps he should give way. It should not seek its own interest, but the interest of the nation. So if the mantra is one Nigeria, then what happened to the Southeast? That's the question that should be asked. What happened to the Southeast? Why is it seeking the presidency for the umpteenth time when the Southeast hasn't had an opportunity? As a statesman, he should say, let me step aside and canvass for a Southeastern candidate for the PDP. Now, as far as Southeastern candidates are concerned, Peter Obi is available. He's made himself available for the presidency, and Peter Obi is a quality politician. He's a man of integrity, a man of ethics. We have seen his leadership in Anambra State is unparalleled in recent history of Nigeria, not just in the state of Anambra, but in Nigeria, unparalleled. Most of those that are parading themselves as candidates don't even have not fit to tie his shoes politically. He's a man of astute, leadership. He's a man that understands the business of governance. He's a man that is in tune with the people. He's a man that understands politics. He's a man that understands development. He's a man that understands economics. Right? And now I'm not saying this because I support Peter Obi, but I'm just being objective about this. And we have to give credit where credit is due. Let the Southeast have an opportunity. And that's why politicians like Atiku should give way. And even Tinubu, who is trying to be president, hasn't thought that the Southeast should be given an opportunity. He's looking out for his own interest. His own interest. After installing Hausa Fulani leadership for 8 years, he believes that his time has come. How about the Southeast? That's the question for Tinubu. How about the Southeast? And so one Nigeria does not stop at the Niger Bridge. One Nigeria is all-inclusive. It's an all-inclusive concept, if you truly believe in this. And this is the troubling part, that our leaders are selfish for the most part, and they look out for their interests, not for the collective interest of Nigerians, because if they are indeed looking out for the collective interest, then they will be objective, and they will put the interest of the nation ahead of their own interest, especially in the case of Atiku, having taken a stab at the presidency so many times without a success. It's time to give way. So Nigerians need a leader, not a sickly leader, not a leader that is bereft of ideas, not a leader that doesn't have any foresight, not a leader that will come in office and spend half of the time in a London hospital. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that kind of leadership. Nigerians need a leader that will be there for them, that a leader that will take action and clean the country up of corruption, and clean the country up of all insecurity, create jobs for the youth, make sure that the country regains its reputation on the continent. And especially in this age of globalization and the knowledge economy. And Nigeria being the biggest economy in the continent, we need a leader that understands what it takes. We need a leader who will be at the forefront. We need a leader who will fight for Nigerians at home and abroad. A leader who would make the interests of Nigerians a priority. We have seen the leadership of Atiku. We have seen the leadership of Tinubu. And we are saying that give us something else. We need leaders who are serious about national unity, that will take the bull by the horn and lead Nigerians well into the 21st century. We can look at the issue of electricity in the country. For 60 years, the country has been, in unstable electricity, and we have countries like Ghana with stable electricity, a small country like Ghana with stable electricity. And we've had leaders come and go, and the electricity situation is still the same. Is that the kind of leadership Nigerians want? Leaders that cannot solve a problem like electricity. What does it take? So Nigerians should be careful. They should be circumspect in 2023. They should not sell their votes. They should vet their candidates and vet them well. Vet them on the merits, on their credentials, on their platform, on their policies, not on ethnic sentiments, not on religious sentiments, not on any other sentiments, because sentiments have taken us nowhere. We have seen for 60 years that sentiments have taken us nowhere but to the valley of death and corruption and insecurity and self-aggrandizement and what have you. So it's time for Nigerians to wake up. If they really want their country to move forward and to be there for them, it's time for them to wake up, take the bull by the horn, and vote somebody who has the capacity to move the country forward. And so to Atiku declaring once again that he wants to be president, he should engage in self-reflection. It's time for Atiku to engage in self-reflection and ask the critical questions. What am I still doing on the scene? What do I have to offer beyond just being, being called Mr. President? Do I still have anything to give to Nigerians? That is the question for Atiku. And he has to answer that question satisfactorily. And he has to convince himself. Because what we see is that we are tired of this leadership. Essentially, Nigerians are tired of this leadership and they need to move on from the old politicians that have put us in this mess in the first place. So Nigerians are saying that the likes of Atiku, the likes of Tinubu is 70 years old and has been in public office. And I think it's time for him to move aside for other candidates that have the qualification, and have the foresight and the energy and the ability and capacity to move the country forward. So Nigerians should take the bull by the horn in 2023 and vet their candidates properly and understand their platform and look at their history and look at their accomplishments and vote accordingly. All right, so tell us what you think about this. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel if you haven't. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe to this channel, give us a thumbs up, and share this video widely.